Ladies who married their just a friend. What was the moment that changed everything? Darren and I had been best friends since 9th grade. We never dated, never even came close to kissing. Not one of those weird almost moments people always talk about. He was just my person, you know? We helped each other through all our terrible breakups, shared Netflix passwords, spent every Christmas Eve watching Die Hard with hot cocoa like it was some sacred tradition. He even helped me move into my first house, this little fixer-upper I found near the edge of town that needed way more work than I could afford. So when the fire happened, he was obviously the second call I made after 911. I woke up to this weird crackling sound and the smell of smoke. Faulty wiring, the fire department said later. I barely made it out, coughing my lungs up, barefoot in my pajamas, standing in the driveway watching my whole life go up in flames. Darren showed up in under 5 minutes with 2 hoodies, a pair of socks, and those granola bars I always ate from his pantry when I came over. I had nowhere to go. My parents lived 3 states away, and most of my friends lived in tiny apartments with roommates who wouldn't appreciate a random house guest. But Darren didn't even hesitate. He just handed me his spare key and said he'd clear out a drawer. Living together was weird at first. Not bad weird, just different. We'd been friends for years but never actually lived in the same space. He left dishes in the sink sometimes, and I hogged the bathroom way too long in the mornings. But we figured it out pretty quickly. We fell into this routine where he'd make coffee and I'd handle breakfast, then we'd watch the news together before work like some old married couple. The nightmare started about a week after the fire. I'd wake up panicking, thinking I could still smell smoke, convinced the house was burning down around me. The first time it happened, I was embarrassed. I tried to muffle the crying, but Darren heard me anyway. He just walked into my room without knocking and sat on the edge of the bed until I calmed down. He never said anything stupid like, "It's just a dream," or "You're safe now." He'd just sit there, sometimes put his hand on my shoulder, and wait until my breathing went back to normal. This happened probably 15 times over the next few weeks. Every single time, he'd appear in my doorway like he'd been waiting for it. Never made me feel crazy or dramatic about it. One night, around 3 in the morning, I woke up but not from a nightmare this time. I needed water and was walking to the kitchen when I saw him on the couch. He was asleep, but he was holding one of my photo albums that had gotten singed in the fire. The cover was all warped, and some of the pictures inside were damaged, but he'd managed to save it from the wreckage. His phone was on the coffee table, screen lighting up every few seconds with job alerts. I picked it up to turn off the notifications and saw what he'd been searching for. Jobs in my area. Not his area, where he'd lived for the past 3 years. My area. That's when it hit me like a truck. He wasn't just helping me through a rough patch. He was restructuring his entire life around making sure I was okay. The man who'd never asked for anything from me except my friendship was quietly rearranging everything so I wouldn't have to face any of this alone. It wasn't some big romantic revelation with fireworks and music. It was just this quiet moment standing in his dark living room, watching him sleep with my ruined photo album in his arms, realizing that the person I trusted most in the world had already been taking care of me in ways I hadn't even noticed. A few months later, after the insurance came through and I found a new apartment, he helped me move again. Just like before, he showed up with his truck and way too much energy for a Saturday morning. We spent the whole day carrying boxes and assembling furniture that came with instructions neither of us could figure out. When everything was finally unpacked and he was getting ready to leave, I panicked a little. Not about being alone in the new place, but about him not being there anymore. We'd gotten so used to our weird little routine, and the thought of going back to just hanging out on weekends felt wrong somehow. So when he was standing